Hello everybody, the next topic, inverse functions. Inverse functions. In fact, this is a topic from algebra, but I want to remind it here because we will be using it later on to calculate derivatives of inverse trigonometric functions and other inverse functions. So what is an inverse function? The idea of an inverse function is like undoing the given function. For example, let's say that the given function is x squared. So that, for example, f of 5 equals 5 squared, which is 25. And so the inverse function typically denoted f to the power minus 1, f inverse, should work like this. It should take 25 and make it 5. So f inverse of 25 should equal 5. Now what is this function? Of course it's the square root. Because square root of 25 indeed equals 5. F inverse is the square root. Square root of 25 equals 5. So we will write f inverse of 25 is square root of 25 equals 5. However, there is a trick here. Like if you consider the full function f of x equals x squared, then it has no inverse. What do I mean? So for a full function, f of x equals x squared, there is no inverse. What do I mean? Consider f of 5, which equals 25, for this function f of x equals x squared, but also f of negative 5 will be negative 5 squared, which is also 25. Negative number squared is also positive. So what it means that f of two values equals the same value, 25. So, what is inverse of 25? I mean, what should equal inverse of 25? Inverse function applied to number 25. Should it be 5 or should it be negative 5? What does it mean in this context, undoing the function? So you can undo it in two different directions. And this is not good, so we consider it actually undefined or not properly defined. So, not properly defined. So then what can we do? What we can do in this context, we can restrict the domain of the original function. So instead of just considering full function, f of x equals x squared, we say we will only consider function f of x equals x squared only for positive or non-negative x values. So instead of function f of x equals x squared unrestricted, we may restrict the domain. Domain means we may restrict those x values that we are allowed to plug into the function. So that, for example, instead of talking about just f of x equals x squared, we consider f of x equals x squared for x greater or equals 0 only. So for such a restricted function, we have f of 5 equals 25 and f inverse of 25 equals 5 only, because there is no negative x values, there are no negative x values, so f inverse of 25 only has one value, and this is well defined. This is what we call in mathematics well defined. So for restricted function, the inverse function is well defined. Now there is graphical explanation for that. So if you look at the graph of the function, so if you consider the unrestricted function, unrestricted f of x equals x squared, then the graph of this function will be the parabola that looks like this. And now there is so-called horizontal line test. What does it mean? If you draw any horizontal line, then it's supposed to cross this graph only at one point. If it crosses at 2 points, it's no good. That means that the inverse function is not defined. So this is called horizontal line test. Horizontal line test means that any horizontal line should cross the graph of the function at most at 1 point. And if it crosses at 2 or more points, then the inverse function does not exist or undefined. Now let me show you the restricted function. Restricted f of x equals x squared, but only for x greater or equals 0. Then the graph of this function, because we are only allowed to use positive x values or non-negative x values, then the graph of this function will be like this. It's only half of the parabola. And now, if we draw any horizontal line, it only crosses the graph at 1 point, or you draw your line too low so it doesn't cross at all. So you cannot draw a horizontal line that will cross the graph at 2 or more points. And this is again a horizontal line test. So each horizontal line crosses at most at 1 point. And here we have a horizontal line test with 2 points. 2 points means that f inverse is undefined. Undefined or does not exist. At 1 point means that f inverse is defined or well defined. So this is the idea. When you have a bad function, then we can restrict it, only consider like 1/2 of it, 1 part of it, and then it will be a good function, so the inverse function exists. So this is the idea how to make inverse functions, and how to make, if the inverse function is initially undefined, then you can actually restrict the domain of the original function, and then the inverse function will be defined.